China just made a move the United States Navy, Pentagon, and White House is worried about. And I'm going to be honest here, guys. You should probably be worried about this too.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting that China is now accelerating production of submarines to attack the United States. Closer to home, writing, quote, China has been developing new submarine technology and a bigger, better fleet that is gaining on the United States and its allies, spurring a new undersea arms race in the Pacific. These subs that can strike U.S. from closer to home, the U.S. Navy is warning. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, that is some statement that the Navy has warned us about.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You know, the Chinese, they don't actually need better submarines. All they need to do is stay close to their shores in what they call the bastion areas, like the Yellow Sea. But obviously, they do want subs to be able to get closer to the U.S. And by the way, we have Chinese submarines in the Arctic, which would be very, very close to Alaska and the homeland. So this is really an important development. And we have got to make sure that we have got the attack subs that can take out those ballistic missile submarines of the Chinese.
It's incredible. You know, the Hudson Institute has reported that China armed Iran with advanced missiles. Every warhead carries Chinese components.
Of course it does.
We've reported on this program many times that China sends these components to Iran. The guidance systems, the propellant chemistry. China provided air defense systems to Iran. U.S. and Israeli strikes decimated them. And that China invested $100 billion in Iranian infrastructure.
Swiftly.
Clearly, China is on the side of Iran with all.
China buys a gigantic quantity of oil from them. Obviously, right now, they're having to utilize Russian oil. That is a thing. And then secondly is through their Belt and Road Initiative that they basically give to developing and like third world type of countries, let's just say this year, at a super crazy interest rate. And if they cannot pay, they take their port. That is basically how that works here. If you ever wondered why there's so many Chinese ports all over the world out of nowhere within the last 20, 30 years, it's because of that scam that they've been running on impoverished nations.
Of this. And then they want to send a Mideast envoy to go condemn the attacks today. How do you see this?
Well, first of all, that envoy is going to try to stop the United States from attacking Iran.
Right.
And clearly what we should be doing is ignoring this guy. You know, the Chinese are an enemy combatant. That's the way we should
Absolutely.
treat them.
Adversary.
They have been supplying Iran with all the components for their weapons, as you just talked about. Diplomatic support, propaganda support, elevated commodity purchases. Last year, 87.2% of Iran's exports of crude went to China. It's across-the-board support. And so the United States just needs to say, look, we want to stop this. We have to also impose costs on China.
Yeah, so why have we been buying drones from China for so long? I asked the chairman of the Intelligence Committee this yesterday. Rick Crawford was my special guest, and I want to get your take on this. I know at this point we've stopped buying Chinese drones from DJI, but there are so many of them already in our arsenal.
Guys, I am a drone pilot. I have a Part 107 drone license. Yes, we stopped selling kind of large scale DJI drones in the United States of America, but that doesn't mean anything because they are now called Sky Rover, being sold directly out of Delaware. There are two manufacturers that DJI basically split into, and they're being run out of Delaware. They're still Chinese made.
Congressman, what about all of those drones right now in our arsenal that China made?
The drone manufacturing has moved so fast. Heck, I've got companies in my district that were engaged in this 10 years ago, but they were outpaced by the Chinese. They wanted to be able to offer these products to American farmers, but they couldn't keep pace because the technology changed so quick, and they were outfunded. And they had to go a different direction with it. So now we're reliant on these Chinese drones. We can't continue with that type of footing.
Do you believe this operation in Iran is as much about China?
It's a very tenuous relationship. I know that they try to characterize this as an affable relationship, and I get it because that personally they may have an exchange that may be favorable. But broadly speaking, the Chinese Communist Party is not our friend. This attack on Iran was not an attack on China, but it most certainly is an impact on China.
Yeah, guys, we'll talk about that later. Mostly everything that we have done within the last 6 months is all kind of rooted in the basis of attempting to obliterate China or slow them down. But we'll talk about that more later.
Has had impact already, hasn't it?
Well, it certainly has. You know, China did with drones what it's done with a lot of other things: solar panels, medicines. What they do is they flood the market because they give subsidies to domestic producers.
Yeah.
That prevents us from developing our manufacturers. So, of course, DJI had 70, 85% of the
market share?
international drone market.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
This was predatory policies. We need those tariffs that President Trump has been putting in place because that is an emergency. And I think the Supreme Court got that one wrong.
Yeah,
All of
okay,
my
so,
drones are DJI,
you know,
all of them.
To stop a president from using tariffs in an emergency when we've got emergencies all over the place, like 100,000 people dying of every year. But let's talk about what's going on in China this week, because China's annual parliament meeting is beginning today in Beijing. Leaders there are expected to discuss and approve policies which they say will expand China's economy. They've got growth targets on the economy of between 4.5% and 5%. Gordon, is there any way in hell that China's economy is growing 5% right now, in your view?
No,
Pay attention
that's what
to
they
this.
reported for last year, 5.0. It was maybe 2.5 if they were lucky. Maybe there was no growth at all. You know, there was a Harvard Kennedy scholar who came back from a tour of China at the end of last year. He reported that the overall unemployment rate in China now is 20%. If you look at
unemployment of 20%
overall, which means that youth unemployment is probably double that. That's inconsistent with the notion of 5.0% growth.
Yeah.
You know, they can say 4.5, 5.0 for this year, but it's probably going to be negative, and especially because China's in a deflationary period. By the way, with all of the problems in the Strait of Hormuz, gas prices in China up 11.0%, diesel up 13.5%,
Yeah.
and the National Development and Reform Commission is telling refiners, don't export anything and cancel contracts if you can.
Well, it's
We have now targeted multiple of the locations where China has basically gotten the majority of their oil from. Understand that. Venezuela, pay attention here, guys. Venezuela, Iran. It seems like everything that we're definitely doing right now is kind of rooted in attempting to absolutely obliterate China's economy, including the tariffs that were a couple of months ago, etc. Everything is set in place to absolutely obliterate China.
direct message, which I love what President Trump is doing here, because he's always telling us what great friends they are. And at the same time, he's saying, okay, well, you want to, in so many words, you want to hold back critical minerals? Well, maybe you won't get the oil that you need, given the situation at hand.
Oh, you said it out loud.
Sounding the alarm over the Pentagon's ban on Anthropic, saying that it could hurt America's AI advantage over China. They write this: the international race for AI advantage is not measured in years, but weeks and days. Alienating a leading American AI company and ripping and replacing existing tech could give other countries, especially China, a leg up. Now, Gordon,
100%.
If you want to be a government contractor, you're not going to tell the government how to use your products, right? I mean, so on this issue, I'm not sure I agree with Axios. How do you see it?
Yeah. Well, the other thing, by the way, is that Anthropic is now trying to de-escalate the conflict, and it's now resumed negotiations with the Department of War, which means that probably they will kiss and make up. And that's important, because I would like to make sure that Anthropic and OpenAI, support the Defense Department in the way the Defense Department wants.
Well, I understand.
They're going to have to.
The only thing that worried me about the Anthropic statement, and this was really stunning, the CEO of Anthropic had this stunning ways to say that they don't want Claude, its main product, to be used for mass domestic surveillance.
Also, the autonomous firing.
Valid. That's a good thing. But obviously, if the government gets involved in it and they start giving you grants and all these type of things here, free money, low interest rate loans, then they're going to probably want to use it. The CIA is definitely going to grab that up immediately and start utilizing it to surveil in mass levels here.
Of weapons. Now, we
Plus
know the Chinese
some.
are using AI for that particular purpose.
Yeah.
So it's important that we be able to use our AI in the ways that the Chinese are. It's just really important.
Well, I think.
Stop spying on us. That'd be amazing. I don't like that. I'm sorry. Right? Do you like it? Let me know in the comments if you're pro spying on all Americans, because you can. All right. So that's a very important thing here. But I will say, though, it's going to happen anyway. Like, it's already, understand this here. Like, we walk around with, GPS monitors on us all day long anyway, right? I mean, if you have a smartwatch, you're the same, right? So I guess it doesn't matter anymore, potentially, right? But still, Do you want to hear it out loud? Not really. Now, understand this here, guys. Every single thing that we have done within the last at least year has been done to not allow China to become better than us, bigger than us, even though they're definitely, manufacturing currency records, right? If that makes any sense here. Like, there's a lot of currency games that they basically play to kind of hit the numbers that they're allegedly hitting. That's the thing that they do here, while paying their people like $200 a month in some places, guys. So understand that that's important to pay attention to, guys. Right? But yeah, everything that we've done, like, think about the relationship that China and Maduro had. Think about the relationship China and Cuba has. Think about the relationship Iran and China has, guys. Understand all of these things, and you'll start to realize that everything just basically boils down to, we don't want China to pass us, so we have to go ahead and cut the legs from under them. All right. That's it. That's all it is here, guys. And oil is going to fix a good amount of those issues. I'm telling you, you can't really put sanctions on China to the point where people in China actually start to kind of feel it, like how Trump did with Iran. Very quickly. That's not really going to be a thing here. Cuba is going to be easy, right? Because it's small, right? But they have big friends and partners, let's say. But that's going to be an easier, like, sanction war, because you're already starving them of oil, if that makes any sense here. And that's enough to throw people into absolute literal chaos. They can no longer drive their cars, utilize electricity in their houses. They're going to have to go out and protest. And what's going to happen when they go out and protest a government like Cuba? The government is going to crack down, and you're going to start seeing people being annihilated. Then when that happens, the world is going to see this, and they're going to say, oh my God, look at what's going on in Cuba. We have to do something. And then that allows us as the world police to basically step in and say, we can fix the problem for you. That's the sanction game that leaders play with other countries geopolitically. But America has the ability to absolutely starve a country out to the point where the people get pissed off and fight the government. And it makes it seem like we didn't have a part to play in it, but we had a gigantic part to play in it. That's just kind of how that works here, guys. I mean, that's geopolitics 101. That's how you have like soft, cold type of wars with other countries and things like this. This is how you force regime change without actually doing the regime change by force, right? You want it to rot from within, because if it rots from within, public pressure sees it rotting from within, the people protesting, the people losing their existences, and now you look better when you go in and save them, even though you created it from the beginning. It's cyclical, guys. It's always going to happen. This is how it's always happened. This is just what it is. This is the world that we live in, guys, and it is about China. Definitely, guys. But the fact that China also now wants to allegedly attack the United States of America, guys, are you surprised with that? No, because they know what we're doing, right? It's like, again, guys, listen, it almost feels like the younger generation. Have you spoken to them, guys? Like, go ahead right now and find someone that is, I don't know, from the age of 13 to 29 and have a single conversation to them about what's happening, and see if they have the ability to kind of get away from the emotional TikTok social media nonsense and actually critically think about what's happening and why things are happening. China, in fact, knows exactly what we're doing. When I say we, I say the United States of America. Do I have anything to do with what they're doing or any say in what they're doing? No, I'm just here. The government has everything to do with what's happening here. And now understand this. The government, in fact, knows that the overwhelming majority of people on this planet right now, between certain age ranges, are absolute invalids mentally. So they just see this happening. They freak out. They give an emotional response without understanding fully the exact moves that are being made geopolitically, okay? America does not want China to pass us. We do not want China to pass us. China is seeing what's happening here, and they're like, okay, we're going to go ahead and build some submarines, because obviously, if you're trying to starve us out, we're going to come for you directly. And that's the game that's being played, bro. And this is a game that doesn't end well for a lot of people.